Well, hello and a warm welcome to Meaning of Life Live with myself, Ashok Gupta. I'm so glad that you could join us this Friday for what will be a stimulating conversation, I'm sure. Today we're going to be talking about the Hollywood myths about love and talking about how so many of us struggle in relationships and how can we go from that struggle to actually a deeper sense of meaning, a deeper sense of purpose in our relationships. How can we live inspired relationships where we see relationships in a completely different way? So I'm really excited that you can be with me here today. And as you know, here on The Meaning of Life Live, we are looking to develop a conscious change family. And that means that that family is looking to transform itself. So we transform ourselves, we transform our communities, and we help transform the world. So in these series of weekly Friday sessions, we're going to be looking at our own transformations, how we can use the knowledge from the app, the videos, the meditations, and apply it in our personal lives. So it's a really exciting vision that I hope you can share with me in terms of what we're doing here at the Meaning of Life Foundation. So just to start off with, as you know, we every week join forces with behaviours.org, who have petitions, and this is part of us getting involved in helping change the world. So there are two petitions on our Meaning of Life experiment page. The first one is all about the Canadian government. There's currently a bill going through Parliament about a certain pesticide that we know actually affects the bee population. And we, as a planet, rely on bees specifically to pollinate for our crops, etc. And they're under threat, and bee populations have been under threat for quite a while. So I hope you can sign that petition. I think there's millions and millions of people who've signed it. And secondly, in Bangladesh, there is a bill going through Parliament there about rape, and actually how there is a clause within the bill that if someone does get raped in Bangladesh, if a child gets raped, they may be forced to actually marry their rapist, which is obviously absolutely ludicrous. Whichever culture or society you're from, it doesn't make any sense. And therefore, we'd love for you to be involved in that petition. I think we've got up to a million on that petition as well. So there are a couple of petitions which are on our Facebook page, and hope you can join us in being part of that transformation of our entire planet. Well, today, as I mentioned, we're talking about the Hollywood myths about love and how we can live these inspired relationships, these deeper relationships. And of course, each of us are on our own journey. Each of us have got our own relationships. They're at a certain stage. But what we're going to cover today is relevant for whether it's our personal relationships or might be parental relationships, the relationships with our children. These principles are relevant universally across our relationships. But obviously, specifically, given it's Valentine's week, we're going to be talking about our romantic relationships. And I know you're tuning in from all over the world, so I'd love to say hello to you. So on the comments section, if you can please just let us know where you are or where you're calling in from, and we'd like to say a big hello to you. So it's going to bring up the Meaning of Life experiment page. So please do let me know where you're from. So let's just have a look here. And of course, please do share, like, and comment what you're seeing. So if you think other people can benefit from what we're talking about, I'd love for you to share this on your Facebook feed, or if you're a member of a certain group on Facebook, please do share it with them as well. So Judy saying hello. Hello there, Judy, from Hebden Bridge in the UK. Melissa, nice for you to join us in San Jose. Claudia saying, I wrote an article exactly on the same subject, the myth of love according to Hollywood. Well, I'd love to share in your experiences of that. Benjamin saying hello from Massachusetts. Jacqueline in Maine. Christina in Seattle. Elizabeth from Munich. Nice for you to join us. It's so lovely to hear and hear from so many people from all over the world who are joining us. And it shows that we're growing a global community, a global family. So that's fantastic. Alice from Belgium. Darby from Hawaii. Very nice. Will saying hello from Portland, Oregon. Jessica from Vancouver, Lisa from Jersey, hello there, and Kuba from Krakow in Poland. Jones from Montrose in Colorado. So it's really nice to hear all these. Sandra from Somerset, fantastic. So, you know, we try to have a certain time where, whether you're on the West Coast, East Coast, so if you're in Americas, you can join us. If you're in the East, so India, China. I guess a bit late in the evening, 10:30, 11, but I hope you can still join us. So we've picked this particular time, but we also want your feedback as well. So if you think we should change the timings, etc., then please do let us know. So how can we live these inspired relationships? Well, as I mentioned earlier, Hollywood gives us a certain representation, and these cultural references go deep within our subconscious as we grow up. And often it's the media that gives us our representation of what relationships actually are. And I just want to say that, look, I'm not claiming I'm an expert here. You know, I've been through my own ups and downs in my own life. But certainly, I'd like to share my observations of my own experiences, the relationships that I see around me, and things that I'm practicing across the board in my relationships as well. So I want to share my observations, but I also want to hear from you as well. So later on, we'll be asking you what you think are the key secrets that help love last, that really go beyond the Hollywood dream, or Bollywood dream, in fact, and actually can sustain and nurture and expand our relationships and our minds. Okay, so I want to hear from you as well and share in that knowledge, of course. Now, as I said, Hollywood, if you watch a movie, a Hollywood movie, or even a Bollywood movie, generally, especially romantic comedies, they tend to end with a wedding. And you may have seen the trailer for this particular session that we're having today, where I talk about 3 stages in relationships: attraction, attachment, and devotion. And Hollywood generally celebrates the attraction phase of relationships, the honeymoon phase. And that often informs our representation of relationships. So we see it in a very romantic context. We see them as giving us a certain feeling. So we say, okay, if I go into a relationship, I experience a certain feeling. That's what relationships are about, making me feel loved, those warm, squishy feelings. And then we get married and live happily ever after. And those types of ideas are also fed to us within children's books as well, and in Hollywood. Or in Hollywood, you'll get a scenario where the relationship hasn't worked out, and you'll get a couple who have a child who visits the father at weekends, and that will be the other setup that you'll see in these particular movies. But very rarely do we see movies which go much deeper into the dynamics of a particular relationship and look at how people move past their differences to actually expand themselves, to grow and make a relationship work. That doesn't make for great TV or for great movies, but actually is something that if we saw more of that kind of interaction, it might change the references that we have about what relationships actually mean and what their purpose is. Yeah? So before we start, I'd love to share with you one of my favourite quotes, actually from Shakespeare, Shakespeare's Sonnet 116. And perhaps Jess, who's our moderator, can just share this poem on our Facebook feed. That would be absolutely fantastic. Once again, as we're going along, please do share, like, and love what you're hearing. We'd love to see your hearts and your thumbs up going across the screens, or your reactions. So this is Shakespeare's Sonnet 116. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his heights be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. What a powerful sonnet that actually is. And that brings me on to some of the principles that poem talks about, which is love, actually, true love, is this idea that it's eternal, that it can't be changed. And yet we don't experience that type of love in our relationships. And in fact, one of the reasons for marriage is our attempt to eternalize love, to make it non-ending through a contract. Yeah? So if we look at the principles of what we talk about in the film, we talk about this idea of being blue, that our true nature is blue. Bliss, love, and unity. That actually, in terms of bliss, we're unconditionally blissful and happy in our true nature, our deepest state, our original state, our authentic state. And we just want to experience that happiness and just be that happiness and share it with others. That's the bliss. Love, that we are already in our essence pure love, and we simply come here to choose to express that in the lives of others. And unity, that actually when we jump out of our true nature, we experience ourselves as separate or lonely, but actually at our deepest nature we are unified with everyone and everyone around us. We have that sense of community and belongingness. And actually, when we identify with our true nature, perhaps on a particular summer's day, walking in nature, or in a deep meditation, or a crystallized moment of awareness when we've read a particular piece of knowledge, we have that aha, Zen moment, where we temporarily identify with blue, with our true nature. But often, we then re-identify with our ego, which is our sense of separateness, our separate identification, separate ego. And that's where fear and worry and danger and negativity come from. It's our sense of separation from who we really are. So that's the first step. We suddenly identify with our ego state. And our ego is the part of us that is conditioned. So the ego has our fears and desires. It has our beliefs, both negative and positive beliefs. It stores our unresolved emotions. So the ego is when we identify with our separateness and those conditionings, our fears, our worries, our emotions. And often these emotions, these core childhood emotions, develop actually in childhood. So when a child perceives a certain lack of love, a lack of support, it then gets certain conditioned beliefs. So it believes, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of love, people abandon me. So we develop these beliefs during childhood. Or it could be unresolved emotions, so certain hurt or pain from our childhood relationships gets stored in our subconscious, part of our conditioning, our habits. Yeah? And then as a child, we develop strategies to overcome it. So we think, okay, I now have this hurt, this gap inside, this fear, this pain. So let me come up with a strategy to overcome it. Perhaps I'll become an achiever. So if I keep achieving things, then that will mean that people will love me. Or if I pick up people when they haven't treated me a certain way, or I'm hypersensitive to criticism, then I can watch out for people who might hurt me or trigger me. Yeah? So we come up with strategies to overcome and attempt to heal that fear, that anxiety that we're not loved inside. And also that morphs itself into a lack of love for ourselves. Yeah? And then, when we reach adulthood, those stored impressions, those stored conditionings, can't just remain there. They have to be exposed. And who better to expose them than actually our partners? So our partners, romantic partners, but it can even be work relationships, parental relationships, child relationships, friend relationships, but especially our romantic relationships. They expose those buttons that have been created. And we often say, don't we, that our partners know how to push our buttons. Consider the idea that we have been sent only angels. Now often, it's very difficult to imagine our partners as angels, isn't it? And in fact, comedians make up so many jokes about marriage, don't they? They say marriage is a word, not a sentence. I really like that one. And they say, marriage, first we have the engagement ring, then we have the wedding ring, and then we have suffering. But I always end that by saying, what about caring? That's a ring that people forget about. So our partners initially might provide that love and sustenance. They fill that gap within us. Suddenly we've found this person who can make us feel loved or allow us to love ourselves. Partners can't actually give us love. They don't inject us with something called love or the love chemical, oxytocin. Another person simply gives us permission to love ourselves, to feel that we are loved. So all love is self-love at some deeper level. And we'll come back to that point. So people around us, especially our partners, are angels who are here to press our buttons, to expose the unresolved emotions, to expose our fears, to expose our beliefs about love, so that we can bring them up to the light of scrutiny, yeah, and be aware of them and heal. You know, it was Rumi, that famous poet, who said, "The wound is where the light enters you." Yeah? The wound is where the light enters you. And a wound can feel very painful. But when we transmute that pain and that hurt into awareness, an opening, then we expand and we use those negative emotions to expand ourselves. So our partners become mirrors. They become a mirror that it enables us to hold ourselves up to the light of scrutiny, to become aware of our reactivity and those three types of conditioning. So our desires and resistances, our beliefs, our limiting beliefs especially, and also, of course, our unresolved emotions from our past. And the mirror that those people are in our lives allow us to become aware of those reactions and to begin to heal. Yeah? So let's just take a moment to make that shift in perspective. Yeah? Let's just close our eyes and let's just take a slow, deep breath in. And let's breathe out with a smile. And let's become aware of any resistances or pain or hurt that we feel towards our partner, or we feel that they've made us feel like this. They've given us that emotion. So become aware of any resistances or hurt or pain within us. And let's transmute that emotion right now. Let's take a slow, deep breath in. And as we breathe out, let's smile and breathe out that emotion and surrender it to love. So breathe out slowly through the nose and imagine surrendering it to love. And shifting perspective to say, this is not about the other person. This is about me and becoming aware of who I am. What's inside me? What hurt can be transmuted and changed? How can I be transformed? So let's become aware of that hurt and pain, negativity, resistance that we have towards our partner, or perhaps another relationship in our lives. Feel it fully. Take a slow, deep breath in with a big smile. And breathe out and surrender it to love. And let's take that new perspective. This is for my growth. Just take a moment to become aware of how it feels, to shift perspective, to say, this is for my growth and remembering who I really am. Because these emotions, these reactions, when I learn about them and move beyond them, then I come back to my true nature. All growth is remembering who we really are. Going back to that bliss and love and unity that is our true, authentic nature. So let's take another slow, deep breath in. And breathe out with a smile. And when we're ready, we can just gently open our eyes. Welcome back. So we talked about those three stages of love: attraction, attachment, and devotion. So in attraction, two people are just attracted to the qualities of a person. That's the honeymoon period. That's what you see in the films, Hollywood and Bollywood. But that is not sustainable. Yeah? That lasts for a number of months. The second stage is the attachment. And that's when our egos come up to say, right, this person has healed something within me. This person has healed my hurts. And I want them to continue doing that. And that's where our fears and our beliefs and our unresolved emotions come up. And we get attached to that person. And we become emotionally dependent on that person to heal something within us. The problem is that person can't live up to the expectations that we've developed. It's expectations and demands which can kill that feeling of love and destroy a relationship. The hurt comes up when expectations are not met. The pain comes up. It's actually magnified because it's triggering those deep buttons from our childhood. And then the attachment becomes a projection, where we think that person isn't really showing me enough love, enough care, because we think love is a feeling that that person is going to give to us. And when we don't have that feeling anymore, then we feel disappointed. We feel there's something wrong. We feel, I don't know if this person is right for me. Is this person really giving me what we want? Yeah? And perhaps we get bored. We feel disenchanted with the relationship. Perhaps we give up on it. Perhaps we look outside the relationship for someone to give us what we're not receiving. But that will, once again, temporarily fill the gap, but that gap can only be filled within us. Because we can only love someone to the extent that we love ourselves. All love is actually love for ourselves. All love is unconditional love and respect for ourselves. Love is not a feeling, it is our true nature. Yeah? So when we shift to the third stage of actually love that is coming from a place of devotion, where we say, okay, now I choose to devote myself to my partner. And it was our grandparents' generation that understood these deeper principles. It wasn't about how this person makes me feel, but it was about going into our true nature and coming from that space and looking to heal the relationship from a place of completeness. So rather than looking for a person to complete us, how can I share my completeness in this relationship with this other person? And in our culture, if we are arguing or something is going wrong, if we're arguing and things aren't going the way we want it, we feel that resistance, we feel that pain and anger. In the West, we see that there's something wrong with the relationship. Whereas in the East, they see it as perfectly normal. Those things have to be argued out and expressed, and there's nothing wrong with the relationship. And unconditional love doesn't mean being a doormat. Devotion doesn't mean being a doormat. And the closest model we have is the way that a mother treats a child. Generally, mothers are the epitome of unconditional love. But that doesn't mean they don't get angry at their child once in a while. It doesn't mean that if that child needs correcting in a certain behaviour, they don't talk to that child and talk to them and tell them to transform something in some way, or listen to them to enable that change and that shift in behaviour. So unconditional love is that idea of asking that question, what would love do now? How can I support you? How can I be of care? How can I be of service? But at the same time, that devotion includes being devoted to ourselves, because all love is self-love. So the question that love asks is, I love myself and you are part of me. Yeah? What a radical shift that might make in our relationships if we said, I love myself and you are part of myself. You are part of me. That's that close sense of belongingness, closeness. How inspiring could our relationships be if we came from that place? How can I express the love to you that I already am? I love myself because you are part of me. So devotion means going inward. So when we have a reaction, when we have an argument, when we want to lash out at the other person, it's going inwards. And interestingly, to bring some science to this, a professor called Professor Gottman did some fantastic research on what predicts the failure of love, the failure of relationships. And he said that there were 4 things that people do in relationships when they argue that is a predictor of whether a relationship will work or not. And he interviewed 10,000 people, 10,000 couples. And he found there were 4 things. It was stonewalling. So if in an argument you maintain that silence, it is the hurt within that you're looking to project onto the other person. So that's once again attachment. So we don't want to stonewall our partners when we're feeling angry. The second is criticism. We feel that hurt and pain and we project it onto the other person and criticize them. The third one was defensiveness, where we become over-defensive in relationships. Once again, we're defending ourselves. We've been hurt by the other person, so we want to defend that soft layer within us. And finally, contempt. Having contempt for the other person. And those 4 things are coming from the ego. We're living relationships with ego attachments. But when we transform our relationships to the third stage of devotion, then they come from a deeper loving place. It's soul love, and it grows and expands us. And you might say, but Ashok, what do we do if disagreements come? Do we just let everything go? No. If the emotion has come up, if the hurt or the grievance has occurred, we still engage in compassionate communication. We still compassionately express our feeling, but we don't judge the other person or make them wrong for that. We say, rather than, you've made me feel really horrible today, and it's your fault, we say, today I noticed a feeling of anger within me, and it was triggered by such and such. And then we enter into compassionate communication. And if you want more information on that, we did cover that last week. Yeah. So, in terms of these particular ideas, I'd love for you now to share with me what really inspires you in your relationship. What makes love last in your relationship? Because I want to share your knowledge as well. So, please, in the comments section, once again, please do like, share, or comment. So please do share this feed on your personal Facebook pages, on groups, etc. That would be fantastic. But yeah, please do let me know what inspires you in your relationship. What keeps the love going? Rather than it being, I'm only going to feel love if the other person makes me feel loved. How have people transformed their relationships into the third stage of devotion? So I'd love to hear from you on this particular topic. And in terms of some of the practical things that come out of what we've spoken about today, I'd love for us to practice a few things this week. So, for 3 remembrances, first of all, that these challenges, these upsets, these ups and downs in my relationship, doesn't mean there's anything wrong in the relationship. It's for my growth. This partner, this person is an angel in my life. The second remembrance that I'd like to reflect on this week is that the change starts with me. So often we make the other person wrong. We're obsessed with the other person and the things they're doing wrong in their behaviours. But actually reach our hand out first. We look to heal ourselves, to go inwards and reflect on our own reactions. And when we spread that circle of love, when we come from a place of devotion, the other person transforms. If we want the other person to change or transform, we become a model. So if we transform, our energy, our positivity, our upliftment becomes an incredible inspiration for their soul to lift themselves higher, to be a bigger and grander version of themselves, because they see us becoming a bigger, grander, more expanded, glory expansion of who we really are, connecting with a source. And thirdly, a remembrance is re-identifying with who we really are. Saying, I am love, I am bliss, I am unified. What would love do now as an expression? And in our relationships, what's really important is regular meditation. When we regularly meditate, we resolve and heal our own emotions. And that becomes incredibly healing for our relationships. So going inwards and reflecting on our emotions is incredibly important. So some people sharing here. Cole saying, I usually say, when you did X, I felt Y, rather than you made me feel Y. What helps me is to fill a few minutes with talk about the things I appreciate about the person, like a good rant. So that's one of the things I was also going to share today, gratitude. So the first tool is regular meditation, and actually meditating with our partner is incredibly powerful, because families who eat together stay together, and families who meditate together stay together. So can we learn and regularly spend time meditating with our partners? Even if they feel it's not something for them, can we encourage them at least to just spend 5 or 10 minutes in meditation? The energetic effect of that in our relationships is so incredible. Peggy saying, by realizing my partner is doing the best that he knows how to at any given time. How wonderfully healing that is, that they're doing the best that they can. And rather than having these expectations and these hurts, can I be a bigger, grander expression of love and bring them into that circle and inspire them? Alice saying, every morning after breakfast, we sit together to check in with each other. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, connecting. You know, life gets so busy, we often don't have the time to really, truly connect at the soul level. And actually making that time together to heal, to express, to be grateful for each other is what keeps the love going. The love doesn't keep going because the other person accidentally happened to make us feel like that. The love keeps going in relationships when we become a purer, grander expression of the unconditional love that we already are, that is waiting, that is just wanting to burst out and ripple into the lives of others. Yeah? Now, that's a Hollywood script I'd love to see. And the third tool I'd like to share, so we've talked about regular meditation, we've talked about gratitude. The third one I'd like to share is the ABC. And that you can see in the previous week's session. So last week in Facebook Live, we did a session on compassionate communication. So ABC stands for acceptance, beingness, and compassionately communicating. And compassionate communication has the three letters LET. Listening and empathizing, expressing objectively, and T is transforming. So as a follow-up, I'd love for you to watch last week's session if you didn't get a chance to watch that, which gives us clues as to how we can go beyond the Hollywood myth and go deeper into love and actually engage in compassionate communication in our relationships. And I'm not saying that every relationship will always be fixed by this, but what I am saying is that most relationships can express and continue the loving feeling. And a lot more relationships could be saved and nurtured when just one person in the relationship chooses to make this step, the tools and the remembrances that we've spoken out today. So I'd love to hear back from you. So in the comments section, please do share, connect with each other. And this video will be on the Meaning of Life Experiment Facebook page. So please do share it with others, watch the recording, reflect on how you can use these tools in your own life. And let's really make a difference in the lives of our own partners and families, but in the lives of others. So please do share this around. So Clive's saying, you talk a lot of sense, but sometimes it's difficult to do when you're feeling ill. Absolutely. And that idea of self-love, unconditional love for ourselves, is part of the self-healing. Yeah? Carol is saying, after a marriage of 36 years, one of the best things my partner can mean for me is an unexpected small surprise, a flower, sitting 15 minutes together in silence. Yes, absolutely beautiful. Yeah? Cole saying, I always feel this sense of hope and appreciation, big, big hope, when I hear you talk. Thank you so much. Jacqueline saying, all the things we are building together help to make the love last. Absolutely. Great. Well, it's been a wonderful session today, and I really enjoyed you being with me. I hope it's inspired you, inspired the people around you. Please do like, share, and comment. This will be on the Facebook page. And next week, we're going to take a bit of a break, so we won't be having Facebook Live, Meaning of Life Live next week, but you can join us in 2 weeks' time. And please do also share with us the kinds of topics that you think you'd like us to cover. We're here for you. We want this to be of service to you, to uplift us all, so we can create that conscious change family where we transform ourselves, transform our communities, and help transform the world. So shall we sing now? As you know, we always end with a song, and this isn't just me performing, this is all of us singing this together. So I'm just going to change the position, and we're going to get to the karaoke system. So I hope you can join me on this particular song. And in our relationships, I'd like us to feel that we are the hero in our relationships. Rather than being the victim in our relationships or being the, looking at it in a very negative way, how can we actually be the hero or the heroine in our particular relationships? So the song that we're going to sing today is Hero by Enrique Iglesias. So once again, hope you can sing along at home. Okay, so here we go.
Would you dance if I asked you to dance? Would you run and never look back? Would you cry if you saw me crying? Would you save my soul tonight? Would you tremble if I touched your lips? Would you laugh? Oh, please tell me this. Would you die for the one you love? Hold me in your arms tonight. Oh, I can be your hero, baby. Oh, I can kiss away the pain, and I will stand by you forever. You can take my breath away. Would you swear that you'll always be mine? Or would you lie? Would you run and hide? I am too deep. Have I lost my mind? I don't care. You're here tonight. I can be your hero, baby. I can kiss away the pain, and I will stand by you forever. You can take my breath away. So once again, I hope you're enjoying this at home. Please do send us your likes, your loves, your shares and comments. Oh, I just wanna hold you. I just wanna hold you. Am I in too deep? Have I lost my mind? Well, I don't care. You're here tonight. Oh, I can be your hero, baby. I can kiss away the pain, oh baby, and I will stand by you forever. You can take my breath away, and I can be your hero, baby. I can kiss away the pain, and I will stand by you forever. You can take my breath away. You can take my breath away. I can be your hero. So I really hope that you enjoyed that. Please do like, share and comment. Once again, please do share with us what you'd like to see over the coming weeks here on The Meaning of Life Live. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Love and light. Thank you and goodbye.